The first graduate student course I taught at McGill was like a slow motion train wreck. It was ugly. I want to tell you this because there are three important lessons to take from it. Let me tell you a little bit about the course first. I had taught undergrads. I had worked in a school. I had never taught graduate students before. And it was a summer session. It was 2 3-hour sessions twice a day for 4 days. And then we came back and we did the same thing again the following week. That weekend away, I almost didn't come back for the second half. Like, I knew it was bad. I didn't know what was wrong, but I knew it was wrong. I knew when those evaluations came in, they weren't going to be good. And sure enough, when I finally got up the nerve to open them, one of them said, Andrew Churchill should never teach at McGill again. And then the email came in from the person running the Faculty of Education. I was in the Faculty of Education and this happened to me. The email came in and said, we should meet. And I went in and I thought I was going to get fired. And I didn't. You know, he said to me, he said, listen, Andrew, and this is the first lesson. He said, listen, Andrew, no one ever starts good at teaching. Like, you're being asked to teach, you're being asked to be in front and lead a room for 3 hours a day, twice a day, day after day after day. It's not an easy thing to do. You're presenting for hours and hours. Presenting's hard enough for 10 minutes, for 20 minutes, but presenting for that time, for leading a room for that time. But here's the deal. It doesn't matter how bad this class was. It matters that the next class is better, and it matters the next class is better than that. And you just need to stack successes, and 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, you're going to be pretty good at this. And it's going to take you a little while, and you need to get better at it next time. You're going to do this again. I'm going to assign you this same course. In 2 weeks, you're starting in September. And you're going to teach the same class again, and you're going to get better at it, or you won't teach a third class. He didn't say that part, but that was implicit in what he said. And I did. I got better at it. I learned the things that I was doing wrong, and I learned to do them differently. You know, there's still some scar tissue there. There's still, when I think back to that, I still, oof. There's a wound there. It's not an opened wound anymore. It's scar tissue now, which is why it's okay to share that story. Brené Brown has something to say about that, but that's a different story for another day. The funny thing was, his 2, 3, 5-year plan, exactly 5 years after that, I actually won the Best Teaching Award, Outstanding Teaching Award at McGill. I actually have it right here on my wall. I wasn't planning to show you this, but there it is. Outstanding Teaching Award. And I put it on my wall to remember, not just to remember this, but to remember that's not where I started. And the important lesson in this is for everybody presenting or doing anything new, really. But my work is in the presenting space, so I wanted to talk about it in terms of presenting. And that's that we don't start very good at it. You know, I think one of the reasons that people have so little confidence presenting and so much anxiety around presenting is because they're not very good at it. But that's normal. They're not very good at it because they haven't done it before. You need to do it to get better at it. You know, you can shortcut that process. You know, I run a course. You can go take my course. It's a digital platform. I'll put a link in it. The point isn't to advertise the course. The point is for you to realize that if you're not good at presenting, that's a perfectly natural thing to not be good at. It's hard. And the task isn't to be good at presenting. The task is to get better at it. Get better at it each time. And it's going to feel a little bit like you're doing this and you're not getting better and you're chasing your tail. But you're actually doing this. You're actually doing this. It's an upward, like if you just get a little better each time, then you create an upward spiral of growth. So back to the story, 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, which is what my dean at the time said to me, if you keep getting better, you'll be really good at this. And implicit in that was a bit of a critique, actually, that lots of people don't get better at it, and that's why there are lots of people who aren't that good at presenting or frankly not that good at teaching. But I took it to heart and I kept getting better at it, and I won the teaching award. Not because I had some presenting gene, or some charisma, but because I studied it and I thought about it and I made goals that I wanted to get better each semester. And then I got better at those things each semester. And then eventually that was recognized. It's funny because I think back, second story, I think back to my presenting teaching career. I was teaching methodology at that time to graduate students, quantitative, qualitative methods. But then I shifted a few years after that. I got an opportunity to teach the first presentation class at McGill. I was pretty good at teaching at this point, but I hadn't taught people how to present. This was in 2013, so it was a long time ago. I finished my first class. We got to the end of the semester. I had my video camera. It was actually smaller than that. It wasn't a big video camera. It's just a little webcam, but I had a little webcam and I was recording the end of class presentations, and I was like, these are gonna be great. And the students had made a ton of progress. You know, they had learned how to gesture in ways that are effective. They had learned how to not be monotone. They had worked on their content. They had worked on their slides. We had done all the pieces of the puzzle and we were putting them together now in this end of semester presentation. And I was psyched to see them put together. I was ready to be so proud, both of them and a little bit of myself, right? And they weren't very good. And it turns out teaching people how to present is a little bit like learning how to present. You don't start very good at it. So you don't start very good at teaching, you don't start very good at presenting, you don't start very good at teaching people how to learn how to present. But then you get better at it. And the mistake I made in that first time I taught was I had taught these skills independently from each other. I taught people how to gesture, I taught people how to vary their voice, I had helped people refine their content, I had helped people build more effective slides, but they were all disjointed, right? Gestures looked like TED Talk caricatures. People kept looking back at their slides because they didn't know them well enough and they didn't know the content well enough. That really is now the foundation of my teaching is content. The foundation of my teaching of presentation skills is content, even with managing anxiety. There are lots of tricks around managing anxiety and how to practice more effectively and practicing the experience and practicing, and that stuff's all important. But none of it matters if you don't have the content. If you don't start with the content and mastery of the content, you have to really know your talk. You have to know your talk at the 30-second level, the 1-minute level, the 3-minute level, and then the 10-minute level. But you have to know the foundation of your talk. And once you know the foundation of your talk, and then you build it out 3-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute level, the voice and the gestures and the slides, those things all come in later. And if you try and do those things too soon, it doesn't work. That's actually what I've learned over, now I've been doing this for a dozen years. But the lesson from today is, I didn't start there, right? I've gotten there, but I didn't start there. That's like presenting. We don't start effective at presenting. It's a learned skill. Teaching is a learned skill. Presenting is a learned skill. Teaching, presenting is a learned skill. Most of you probably aren't interested in teaching presenting. If you are interested, like if you're a PI or you're a supervisor and you have grad students, you have early career researchers who are trainees, and part of what they need to learn is presenting, then maybe you are interested in learning about teaching presenting. If you're just interested in presenting more effectively, then we've done 2 good lessons today. One of them is that there's no gene. One of them is that you don't start well. And your anxiety around presenting is not presentation anxiety. It's not public speaking anxiety per se, but it's doing something publicly that you're not yet skilled at. So you have to have a little kindness and a little empathy for yourself, and you have to learn that this is a skill that gets developed over time. You don't start good at it, you develop it. That's the first lesson. The second lesson is that the foundation of developing that skill actually isn't about presenting at all. The foundation of developing that skill is mastery of your content. Is real mastery and real understanding of your content, of your research, of the ability to just have a conversation about it. Once you've done that, then we can talk about everything else. Then we can talk about slides, then we can talk about delivery, then we can talk about developing some strategies to help you manage your nervous system when you're in the spotlight. But all the strategies in the world to manage your nervous system in the spotlight aren't going to do you any good if you don't have mastery of your content, and if you don't treat yourself with some kindness and acknowledge that the first couple of times you do this, there are going to be some bumps and bruises, and you're going to get better at this over time, but it's going to take some time and take some practice. And so those are the two things that I wanted to share today. As I've already mentioned, I run a course to help people do this, so if you're interested, take a peek in the comments below. I also, for supervisors or PIs who are interested in getting better at helping people do this, I actually run a program. I don't run the program. I have a program that you run. I have a program that you run to do this. You know, basically you sign into the digital platform that I have, and you then become the teacher, which you already are, for your students, and you sign your students into the platform. And then the students have access to my teaching curriculum, but they also have access to a 5-step program where they do some work, they answer some questions, they start building out a talk, and then you give them feedback. And then they build out a draft of that talk and you give them feedback, and then they practice that talk and you give them feedback. And they also get feedback from peers along the way. And this is the process that I use when I'm working with people to help them build a presentation. And it's a process that you can use with your students in your labs to help them do that. So if you're interested in that, let me know, and I'll post a link for information about that program as well. Cheers. Good luck out there. Remember, it's not a gene. Charisma is not something that people are born with. People learn to do this, and there's certain things, there's certain tips, there's certain skills, there's certain tricks. All those things are learnable, but they're learnable because you want to, and you're kind to yourself, and you realize that you're not going to start as an expert, but you'll get better. And pretty soon, you'll actually be better than most people, because most people don't work at it. So if you work at it, you'll be better than most, because most people don't.